Hello everyone. Today we'll be looking into collective nouns, and this is in page number 57 of our material, which is given in the description box, and you can go and download it. Before seeing this class, I would recommend you go and see the previous two classes on Sino-Korean numerals and native Korean numerals, because you'll be needing both of those in today's class. So let's get to our lesson. So today we'll be looking into collective nouns as it is given here. And collective nouns is just like in English we have a school of fish, a flight of stairs. So school and flight, they are collective nouns. Even though it is not in the same order, Korean also has collective nouns, and most commonly native Korean numbers are used to express the number there, and the number is followed by the collective noun. So if you're saying a school of fish, then that fish will come at the first for Korean, and then you will have a second, that is, you're saying one, the number, that we have one school of fish, so the number will come after the fish, and then the school will come at the end. So you're literally saying that fish one school. That's how the order for collective nouns work in Korean. It may be a bit confusing, but let me promise you, collective nouns are the easiest part when it comes to Korean. Actually, when you get into the time, date, months, age, all that, honestly, for beginners it does get a bit confusing. At least it was confusing for me before I got it right. Then again, of course, the order for collective nouns might be easy for you, but then to remember all those collective nouns might be hard, and that's absolutely okay. Once you practice the language and see a lot of media stuff, like variety shows, dramas, songs, documentaries, films, and all that, you have a lot of collective nouns repeating in daily speech, right? So once you get used to that, it kind of blends into you. So even if you don't by heart all these collective nouns, is absolutely all right. Another thing you can do is there's a lot of online sites today which offers raw Korean manhwas. So you can, manhwas, that is comics. So you can try reading those raw versions of those for free. Of course, there's a lot of sites which gives those for free. So you can try those. It might be a bit hard for you to try it for free. And if you don't know where to go to find the raws for free, you can always you have the links for my social media accounts in the description box. You can just DM me and I'll tell you where to find it. I'm not in a situation where I can advertise that on my channel. So yeah, let's get to our lesson. So first we're gonna see how to say 3 cups of juice. So as I said earlier, you have the juice first, then you have 3 second, and the cups third. So juice is just juice. Then 3 we know in native Korean numbers it's set. You have a shit as bachim for set. So what you're doing is for set and net and sumur is 20. So for all these 3 you take the bachim off. Like there are some kind of exceptions, and you can also see that those exceptions working in like time. Last class when I taught you time, I told you that it is not set she, it is actually say she and ne she. The same way you have say kop, ne kop, and for summer what you do is you take the rear button out of that. So it would become sumuge. Ge is another collective noun that you would see here. So jusu se kop. So kop is, of course, you can see that it is Konglish. Konglish means Korean plus English combination, so it is English derived. So if you are looking for completely Korean stuff, then for cup or glasses you can use jan, which is given in the second one, that is mur 다섯 jan, 5 glasses of water. So that jan you have here, that you can use for juice also. So it is literally cups and glasses, you just use jan. The next one is 여섯 명. So 6 people. Here, myong is a collective noun for people. Myong is not used for anything else the same way, like jan, I told you jan is used for juice, water, any drinkable thing which is put in a glass, you can use jan. So you need to mention what you're talking about before you get into the numbers and the collective nouns. That's why juice, sekka, mur, 다섯 jan, like that you're mentioning it as juice and mur and all that. But when it comes to myong, if you see myong from there itself, it's very clear you're talking about people. So even if you say 사람 여섯 명 or just 여섯 명, both are correct. The next one is 차 다섯 대. So 차 다섯 대 is also something you would say 차 first and then 다섯 대. You need to say 차 there. The next one is 사과 세 개. Once again, 개 is the one I told you earlier. So 개 is a collective noun that is used for all inanimate objects which do not have a specific collective noun. Like suppose if you're talking about shoes, you wouldn't use 개 because shoes has a specific collective noun. So unless it doesn't have a specific collective noun, because you can't have collective nouns for anything and everything in this world. This world has too many too many things to provide collective noun for each and everything and to remember all that. It's too difficult to do that for the human brain. So for practicality, we have ke, which is a collective noun for all inanimate objects, as I told earlier, which do not have its own specific collective noun. So 사과 is something like that. 사과 means apple and it does not have a specific collective noun, so that's why you're using 개 here. And you're using 새 here. That is, 셋 is transforming into 새. So 사과 세 개. The next one is 연필 두 자루. So 연필 means pencil, and you already know that pencil is a long and lean object. So for long and lean objects, jaru is the collective noun you would use. So once again, you have a lot of long and lean objects in this world. So in that case, you need to mention what you're talking about to know that if you're just saying tujaru, then you don't know what long and lean object you're talking about, like the person is talking about. So that's why it's important to mention 연필. The next one is 책 네 권. So for book, it is 권. 권 is the collective noun. The next one is 장미 열송이. So 송이 is the collective noun used for all kinds of flowers. So you need to mention what kind of flower you're talking about before you get into the numbers and the collective noun and all that. So that's why 장미 is mentioned here. 장미 means rose. So let's look into the collection of all the collective nouns that we have seen and some more. So as you have seen, myong is for people. Then mari is for animals, and it is something you see quite frequently. De is for cause. Ge is for any inanimate object, and it is very widely used. And jaru, as I told, for long and lean objects. Kuru, Guru is for trees. The next one is songi. Then you have kyolle. Kyolle is used for pairs of shoes. So it's not like two pieces of shoes, it's for pairs. Jang is used for paper, and like if you're telling your subordinate employee or the new intern in the office to get like 5 copies of this document, then you would just say 이거 가서 5장 치고 오세요. And when you say that, you're literally telling them to get 5 copies of this document. The next one is kwon. Then the last two, sar and chun. You have something special to note there. For sar, like of course, native Korean numbers you're using to say the age. But then, of course, sar is a more common way to say somebody's age, be it in formal conversations or in informal conversations. But when you're talking to someone who is maybe like 20 plus years old than you, or you're talking someone to someone who's the chairman of your company, like somebody who's in incredibly higher position than you and incredibly older than you, like not both together, then again not separate either. So be it separate or together, like the situations that I told you, you would use the suffix se in that situation. Se would be the collective noun in that situation. So what happens is, for sar, as usual, I told you, that is a most common way, and it's okay if you just remember sar for now. You can go into say later. And sar, you would use native Korean numbers, but when you're using se, you would use Sino-Korean numbers. And using se and Sino-Korean numbers to say somebody's age is like you're portraying respect there. The next one is chung. Chung is like the floors of a building. A building may have 8th floor, 10th floor, 12th floor, 14th floor, 5th floor, 2nd floor, like that. A building may have floors, right? To describe those floors, you would use chung. But be very careful here. Floors use Sino-Korean numbers. So you would say 1층, 2층, 3층, 4층, 17층, 15층, like that. So I hope it is clear. And then the exceptions for the numbers that I told you earlier. That is, if you're saying 물 한 잔, we already know that in native Korean numbers, 1 is hana. But you wouldn't say hana 잔, that is wrong. You would say 한 잔. The same way 종이 means paper. So you're saying 두 장. You wouldn't say 둘장. The next one is 신발. 신발 means shoes. So if you're talking about shoes, you would say 세 켤레, not 세 켤레. Next one is like 사람 means person. So when you're saying 4 people, you would say 네 명, not 넷 명. And the next one is 나이. 나이 means age. 나이 is the more informal way to say age, but you use the word 나이 in both formal and informal conversations, and it is absolutely alright. But if you're talking to, as I told earlier, someone incredibly older than you or in an incredibly higher position than you, you would use another word, which I'll explain later. So if you're talking about 나이 or age, it would be 20살, that is 20 years old, not 20살. 20살 is wrong. So now, as I told, let's get into the age matter. So age, as I told earlier, it's 나이, but for the more formal part, it is 연세. As I have given here, it is 연세. Like asking somebody's age who is incredibly older than you or in incredibly higher position than you, you would ask, you wouldn't ask 나이가 어떻게 되세요? You wouldn't ask that. It would be impolite to ask like a seemingly 50 plus, 60 plus older than older person to ask like 나이가 어떻게 되세요? That would be impolite. You would rather ask it 연세가 어떻게 되세요? You would or you could ask 연세가 어떻게 되시나요? Or you can ask 연세가 어떻게 되시는지 알려줄 수 있을까요? Things like that. As for age, as I told earlier, 1살, 2살, 3살, 12살, just the numbers that like native Korean numbers which we learned in last class, you just take those numbers and add 살 at the end. 32살, 58살, things like that. So we already learned the time in the last class, so I'll not be going into it. The next is month. When we learned dates in the last class, we learned how to say January, February, like that till December, we learned that. But we didn't say how to, we didn't learn how to say 1 month, 2 months, 6 months, 8 months. We didn't learn how to say that. So we'll be how to quantify months. We'll be looking into that today. So one option is just adding dhar suffix to native Korean numbers, and the other option is adding 개월 to Sino-Korean numbers. So dhar can mean two things. That is, of course, this month thing, and it can also mean moon. So those are the two meanings, and that was just additional knowledge. It's not connected to this lesson anyways. So coming to dhar, the thing is, it's correct to use either dhar or 개월. You already know that war is used to indicate months, because last class we learned you were, somewhere, you were, she were, we learned all that. So if you haven't seen that class, go see it. It's very important. I have been repeating that again and again, and I'm sorry for the repetition, but I'm repeating it because it's very important. So coming back to this, you would say, for 1 month, you would say 한 달. You wouldn't say 일개월. It's not that it's wrong or anything. It's much more less common. And for 2 months also, you would probably go just 두 달. But from 3rd month onwards, you would just go 3개월, 4개월, 5개월, 7개월, 8개월. Like you would just go like that, rather than just say 세 달, 네 달, 다섯 달. Up until now, I don't think I have heard any Korean people saying 세 달. The one thing you can say is 넉 달. Nok is not any number or anything like that, which we have learned in Sino-Korean or Native Korean. But when you're saying nok dar, it means 4 months. This is something general and something which is derived from the older times. So it is not exactly very important to know, but it would be good to know. The same way for days, you would say 일일. That is 1 day, 일일. So you're writing Sino-Korean 일, and then for day, you already know that it is 일. I told you in the last class how to say 일. So 일일, then for 2 days it would be 이틀. It wouldn't be 일, it would be 이틀. I can show you how to do that. So this is how you would go 이틀, 일일, 이틀, then you would go back to 일 again. So it would be 3일. You would go 3일, then 4일, 5일, like that. So for 2 days, it would be itter. Others all you can just go yuge. Then when it becomes chiller, you would rather say irjuir, that is 1 week, because 7 days are 1 week. Instead of saying 7 days, you would just say 1 week. And how to say 1 week is here. 1 week is irjuir. So you're saying ir, that is 1 in Sino-Korean, and juir. So it would become irjuir. But that is just for 1 week. When you come to 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and all that, it would just be iju, samju, saju. You wouldn't say ijuir. It's just for 1 week that irjuir is coming. So you wouldn't say irju, just irju either. You wouldn't say that. You would say irjuir, iju, samju. From saju, oju onwards, you can just say 1 month, like depending on whichever month it is. So that is how it works. It might be a bit confusing, and it's absolutely alright, and it's absolutely normal. So if you have any doubts, leave it in the comment box. I'll be clearing all your doubts. So we have one example sentence given here, that is 2달 동안. Be very careful, listen very carefully which all number systems I'm using for each number given here. 2달 동안 학교를 다니고 2주 동안 방학을 했다. So I'm using native Korean number here, that is 둘. 둘 is becoming 두, and 2달. So for 2달, 2 months. Then 동안 means for 2 months. 학교 means school. So 학교를 다니고, 다니다 means attend. So I attended school for 2 months, then go is coming here. Go is a conjunction in Korean which means and. Then you have iju. Iju means 2 weeks. That is Sino-Korean number, 동안. Then so you're saying for 2 weeks, 동안 is coming. So for 2 weeks, 방학을 했다. 방학 means like you're taking a vacation or break or holiday or something like that from an educational institution. Only in case of educational institution, when you're doing that, it is called 방학. When you're taking a vacation for yourself or from your job or things like that, it is called 휴가. So both vacations are different. From educational institutions, it's 방학, and when it is general holiday or from like some function-related holiday or from your workplace, it is 휴가. So 방학을 했다. Because 했다 is coming here, like your did break. 방학 means break and 했다 means did. So did break. So they're saying that they took a break from school. So it's not like the school gave a break. 방학이었어요 or 방학을 줬어요. If the sentence in itself indicates that 방학 or vacation was given, then you can say, okay, it is an institution given vacation. But this sentence clearly indicates that they did a vacation. That means they took a vacation for themselves. That's what it means here, took a break. So 2달 동안 학교를 다니고 2주 동안 방학을 했다. I went to school for 2 months and took a break for 2 weeks. So I hope everything is clear. If you have any doubts, as I told, the comment box is always there and I'll always be checking. And this is just one example, and you can see how things are getting complicated from here on. So try making your own examples, even if it is not very complicated, hard, compound sentences. It is absolutely all right. You can just start from simple sentences. And a huge tip that I can give you is try to think in Korean. I'm not saying that you have, you can just think in your own mother tongue, whatever it is, and then translate it in your head to Korean language. Of course, that may be useful. I'm sure it will be useful, but instead of like take the translation part and your own language out of the way. I'm not saying that just throw it out. Just take it out of the way for the time being and learn to think. Like make it a practice to think in Korean. Like the thoughts that form in your head, try to form that in Korean rather than in other languages. Because even when I started learning the language and I knew absolutely nothing, and this is what I used to do. And then as time progressed and as I have got better at the language, now I can mix between my mother tongue, my like English, and then Korean. I can just mix and match and like just think in whichever language that comes to me at that time. It has become very natural for me, but trying to think in Korean is what helped me learn the language so well. Even though I did take some time, it helped me build a very good, strong foundation. So I recommend that to you guys. So we'll see you in the next class with a new topic. Thank you for being here.